Welcome back to Breathe and Bake, where we focus on tips to help enhance every aspect of your cooking journey. Today, we're diving into a topic that is both practical and hopefully empowering, which is mindful meal prep. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the idea of preparing meals ahead of time, you are not alone. It's something that a lot of people experience. But today, I'm going to share some tips that will hopefully make meal prepping feel more approachable and really a tool to get you into your week feeling like you are more prepared, that you have a plan on how to nourish yourself and nourish your family as well. Okay, before we even touch a knife or take out a container or take out an ingredient, we're going to take a moment and just breathe. As you're breathing, ask yourself, what is my intention on meal prepping this week? It could be to help support you in your busy schedule. It could be to keep you on track for healthy eating. Maybe it's to save time in the mornings or reduce stress around dinner time. Whatever the purpose is for you, it's helpful to think about that in the beginning of meal prep to remind yourself why you're putting in this time and effort and carving this time out of your schedule on typically a weekend day where you could be doing something else. So reflecting on why is this important to carve out this time in order to make the rest of my week a bit easier in whatever way that is true for you is helpful. Now let's talk about planning. I have other videos on how to meal plan for the week. That does not mean that everything that ends up on my meal plan that I am meal prepping. So for me, I typically will meal prep a few breakfast options for the week. Maybe I will prep some muffins. Maybe I will prep some breakfast burritos. Things that make our morning go more smoothly, because that's usually a time that is very tight with getting ready for work and showers and exercising and getting the kids everything that they need to get off to school. Mornings are not a time where I am going to go to the stove and prep a hot meal every day from scratch. It's just not realistic for us and would add a lot of stress to my day. So for me, breakfasts get meal prepped. I also tend to meal prep lunch for myself and my husband. Again, for us, both of us work from home, and so we tend to have a limited amount of time for lunch, maybe 30 minutes. If I went and made myself lunch every day, that would take up probably about 20 of those minutes, which would give me about 10 to shovel the food in. I'd much rather have intentionally prepped a lunch that is healthy, that is already portioned, that I can heat up, and then spend that time actually enjoying the lunch instead of running around my kitchen trying to make it happen. So that is what I tend to meal prep, is breakfast, and then lunches for myself and my husband. Our kids typically eat school lunch, and if they're not going to eat school lunch, they might get a sandwich for lunch, heat up some chicken nuggets, throw it in a thermos. They're not getting anything complicated for lunch. So I don't need to meal prep for them. The only other thing, depending on the week, depending on what we have, what we want, is that I might meal prep a snack or two. I might throw together, like this week, I'm going to throw together some granola bars. So one of the snacks I will meal prep. Other than that, we're grabbing apples, we're grabbing cheese sticks, we're grabbing things that I have already purchased that's really easy to put into lunch containers, or for myself and my husband to grab if we would like a snack in the middle of our work day. And then the other thing that I might cook ahead of time is I might make something for dessert, like I might make a cookie dough and put it in the fridge so that at some point in the week we could have fresh cookies. I might bake a batch of brownies, something like that, but that is not an every week thing. Again, it really depends what we have going on, what we have left over from the previous week, on whether or not that I would meal prep dessert as well. Keeping that in mind, thinking about for you, where are your points? You didn't hear me say that I meal prep anything for dinner, because I don't. I make, for me, that is when I transition from my work day, I step out of my home office, I come to the kitchen, and I make dinner. And for me, it's something that I enjoy doing, so that feels like a good transition from my work day to my home life experience. So I don't typically meal prep anything for dinner ahead of time. For you, maybe that's a really hectic part of your day. Perhaps you have a lot of activities after work, kids have a lot of activities after work, perhaps you get home from work and you're just too exhausted to think about throwing dinner together. And for you, maybe that is what you meal prep. So think about the fact that you don't need to meal prep everything. What would make your week easier? And make a plan for doing that. So for me, that is a Sunday morning thing where I will carve out a few hours in the morning and I will meal prep those things that I have noted that I do, and then that gives me the rest of the day to do whatever else we'd like to do on that weekend. Something else that you can consider when you're doing your meal prep is to make it into a ritual that feels enjoyable to you. So you might light a candle. If I'm meal prepping, sometimes I would like an unscented candle so it doesn't impact the other smells I'm doing. But you could do a scented candle if that fits for you. And I'm sure you'll still be able to smell your food as well. Or you could put music on. You could set the kind of atmosphere that makes it an enjoyable kind of ritual every week for you, so it's something that you look forward to and less like a chore. Because really, meal planning is part of self-care. You are caring for yourself throughout the week, whether it is making meal times easier, giving yourself, really handing yourself a healthy lunch every day, whatever it is for you, it is self-care. Okay, here is a big one, embracing imperfection. I am definitely one of those people who look on social media and look at the beautiful meal prep containers that all look exactly the same and are full of colors and everything is chopped beautifully and perfectly. And, at least for myself, maybe for you too, that is not what my meal prep is going to look like every week. Sometimes it is gorgeous and colorful and beautiful, and sometimes it is not as colorful, and that is okay. Sometimes some cuts of a potato are smaller than others and they are not perfectly uniform. That is okay. The idea is that you are doing something to take care of yourself, to take care of your family. The cuts will get better over time. As you begin to make choices that are better for you and better for your family, it's likely that the meals will get more colorful and more diverse over time. Cooking is a process, and it is not about perfection. The main goal is nourishment, so be kind to yourself during this process. Depending on what you are prepping, you might want to label ingredients as you go. So on your container, you might want to slap on a sticker that says when you prepped it, so that way you can ensure that you're using those ingredients first. I typically don't label my food, but again, like I mentioned, I don't meal prep for dinner, so I don't tend to have prepped different raw ingredients. I tend to have a finished product, like lunches in containers. muffins in a container, things like that that are very clear what they are. And I know when I prep them because I don't prep very far ahead. It's things that are going to be eaten that week. If I make something like muffins that perhaps I have more that can be eaten in a week, then I'm going to package those up and put them in the freezer so that they stay fresh and I could eat them another time. So I don't need to worry about them going bad, either in the pantry or in the fridge. What I will say is even if you're not going to label it, organizing your pantry and organizing your fridge is really a gift to yourself and helps the cooking process a lot. I do have a video on mindful kitchen organization that you can watch around that. So prep and put things where you don't need to dig for them because you don't need that stress and there's no reason for it. Take care of yourself. And there you have it, 5 tips to make your meal prep process less stressful and more meaningful to you. Remember, the key is to start small on what will have an impact for you during your week, to stay present during the process, and whatever that looks like for you, lighting candles, setting music, inviting your family to come and meal prep with you, and really to celebrate that effort that you're putting in to care for yourself and for your loved ones. Let us know in the comments, what has been your biggest challenge with meal prep, or what do you really enjoy about the process? We would love to hear from you.